Welcome, sneaker enthusiasts. I'm Peter Jeun Ho Tsang, founder and CEO of Beyond Form. Today we'll explore the intersection of footwear and NFTs, a hot topic that has seen some brands generate millions in revenue, so it's no surprise that more fashion brands are trying to get in on the action. I'm thrilled to have a special guest speaker today, Rijal Hikmatullah, the co-founder of Sol3mates, on this episode. Sol3mates is a pioneering Web3 sneaker brand taking the digital landscape by storm with their NFTs and are now poised to make their mark in the physical realm come September 2023. Rijal gives us invaluable insights into his startup. Discover how Sol3mates harnesses the power of NFTs to redefine sneaker ownership, how they've cultivated a community, and the brand's future direction.
Why physical shoes as well as NFT? I think the use case of NFT, right? As I said, it's a membership to access actually these physical sneakers, right? These NFT holders, gets the party access to all our Sol3mates sneakers in the future and the one that is coming up in September.
So sit back, relax, and get ready to embark on a journey with Rijal and Sol3mates right here on Venturing into Fashion Tech.
Hey everyone, I'm doing well, Peter. How are you? How's everything from your end?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for taking this recording with us. So before we get stuck into the conversation itself, I'm just going to run off some facts about fashion NFTs, which this episode is about. So by the end of 2022, the fashion NFT category accumulated over $245 million in revenue collectively across several brands. According to the blockchain analytics platform June, with Nike coming at top of the list. According to reliable research reports, a fashion brand's NFT market size is growing at a compound annual growth rate of 11.8% from 23 to 2030. However, with those incredible numbers, of course, we had the crypto crash at the end of 2022, but it doesn't seem to have deterred the fashion industry in any way, case in point with Sol3mates. They're still exploring the fashion space and, of course, launching fashion NFT projects. So without further ado, into a segue, Rijal, I'm so excited for this. What has been your journey into tech and how did you get into luxury innovation?
Ooh, that's a good question. I've been very, very interested. To give a quick background, my background is actually aeronautical engineer, so always we look at new technologies, new material, new designs. That's like at the heart for me. 6-7 years ago, I started my own startup as well, to work on new technologies for the aviation industry. So, aviation is all about, experiences, right? And it's almost like how luxury industry is all about the experiences, the exclusivity. And while I was working on these new technologies in my own startup, I got into a lot of exposure to new industries like the fashion, loyalty, and as well even like dining experiences, etc., right? Back in 2021, when we had one of like the major airlines here based in the UAE, Etihad Airways, they launched an NFT collection that was super cool, a super creative use cases. And I got into into NFT. Let's say I jumped in the rabbit hole back in 2021 while I learned about the use cases, what it can do, right? Now I started to research, I started to understand more about it, and I see a lot of big brands working on that sector of technology, and the industry is like growing, and I didn't want to miss out on that, right? So we try to find some ideas to see how we can implement them, on personal projects and even in our startups. But then I jumped into Chalhoub Group. Maybe we can speak more about that later. But went into Chalhoub Group recently, last year actually, back in September, and work on a lot of cool luxury industry in terms of the innovation that I was involved in, and that was a super cool let's say segue to me going into that more into that luxury industry, people and innovation and experiences. I think that's how that the start was actually, like, just working on new technologies within aviation industry, and then now I just moved to more into a more luxury fashion, beauty, and innovation within Chalhoub Group.
And then did you always want to go into luxury, or did you just happen to be in luxury?
Well, as I said, right, I was indirectly, almost in working with the luxury side of things, because aviation in general is all about experiences, right? That's kind of like how luxury is. It's all about the experiences and exclusivity. So that's where aviation industry is mainly about. That's how they compete, right? And then when of course, as I moved to Chalhoub Group, I was then more hands-on into the luxury side of things, and it's a different let's say mindset, right? Because you only care about that exclusivity, limited editions, or even in terms of innovations. We always have to have that unfair advantages of for the luxury brands.
And then for our listeners that may not be familiar with Chalhoub Group, who are they exactly?
So Chalhoub Group is a family-owned business, established for a long time, over 50 years. We are the largest luxury retail operator and distributor for the fashion and beauty brands here based in the Middle East. So we are located in Dubai, is our HQ, and we have offices in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, also in Jordan and in Egypt, for example. So we represent the luxury and premium brands all around the world to come to the Middle East. Giving an example is we have a JV with LVMH, Sephora. We also have Farfetch Middle East. We have Swarovski, Coty, Puig. We also have Lacoste as premium brands. We have over 200 plus brands within our portfolio. We are, as I said, a family-owned business. We are like a slow, massive giant as a group. Probably not everyone would know Chalhoub, but I think the luxury industry and players would know Chalhoub Group.
But from a consumer perspective, because many consumers will have heard of the brands that are under your group. You mentioned then that there are a massive group, but you happen to be in the innovation team, which seems to be doing things a little bit differently. Is that correct?
Indeed. Yeah, we're the crazy people here at the innovation department.
Yeah, crazy in a good way. And what do you do exactly in the innovation team?
So we are a small team of passionate individuals here at corporate innovation at Chalhoub Group. So what we do essentially is we work with our brands, with our portfolio brands, to be an extended team to work on new projects and new business models to impact their obviously like their revenues as well as their sustainability impact. But we also focus on experiences, right? We don't really focus on like the horizon ones. We operational efficiency, of course, we look at that, but we also look at the horizon threes and twos, right? The one that we are exploring daily to look at new business models that are being experimented, tested, that hasn't been done by, in any of the years that Chalhoub has, has been established. We are opening up like pre-love categories with level shoes, for example. Level shoes is like one of the largest store in Dubai Mall, if you have been there. Also, we work on the Web3 side of things. We launch NFT collections with Christoffel, for example, and our recent NFT collection with Sol3mates, which is a sneaker brand that Chalhoub recently launched, leveraging the Web3 technologies, which is what we as a department do to explore uncharted territories, to work on the future of the group, right? To make sure that we are always at an unfair advantage with our competition.
And how did you manage to convince, the executive team at Chalhoub Group? Which, first of all, I'm really super happy to see that a big fashion corporate does have an innovation team, because not everybody does have an innovation team, and not one that is as experimental as it seems, with the launch of a fashion NFT brand as well. So how did you manage to convince them to say yes to launching Sol3mates?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, as a group, right? We, as I said before, we are always looking at unfair advantages to our competition, right? We are always looking at new territories to to work on new ideas. And it's part of the DNA of Chalhoub Group is to always be entrepreneurial, as well innovative. But yes, the question is, how did they, agree to such crazy, launching a sneaker brand that is essentially leveraging the Web3 side of things, right? That's because that's outside what Chalhoub does. We usually have a retail. We sell shoes, for example, like level shoes, right? Last year, as I said, we launched Christoffel NFT. That was a quick, project that was the first of coming out from our department to work on an NFT collection with Christoffel. We sold out 500 NFT artworks in 5 minutes, right? And then obviously the group, has their eyes on what can this look like in the next 5-10 years, right? So we're working on a lot of things in terms of like the Web3 strategy for the group, yeah, especially like the like the NFT collections kind of projects. And Nick, who's the head of corporate innovation, has this idea of you know how can we make it bigger, right? In terms of a Web3 project, right? And we looked at a lot of different ideas of what we can do to make sure we move then we move the needle within the group, and as well to make sure that everyone knows about Chalhoub Group, working on crazy innovative Web3 projects, right? So we never had the chance to work on building our own sneaker, because we always have we always represent other brands, right? But we never had the chance to work on our own brands, or our own IP. Let's say we do have like beauty brands that we own, that came out of Chalhoub Group, beauty, fashion not yet, but sneaker is one of like how you already know the sneaker culture, right? I mean, the sneaker culture are all going into luxury in these days as well. So it was a good idea for us to create a new sneaker brand. But then, of course, with the innovation team, we want to make sure that it's different, right? So we started Sol3mates by having this sneaker brand of the future that is community centric, that are created and empowering, that are created by the community and empowering the designer that we are onboarding through the Sol3mates ecosystem. That's when we started the pitch with with our board of presidents, with the committee, to make sure we have the go ahead. And everyone loves the idea, right? Because it's unique. It's nobody in our let's say caliber of competitors are doing it. And I hear that a lot of other competitors are, I don't want to say jealous, but like no one is like
We
thinking
can say they're jealous, Rijal. I'm sure we can say they're jealous.
I hear here and there they're quite jealous of what we're doing, because we have this great group that is backing innovative ideas like Soulmates, and they're super excited about it. They're not just like, okay, how it's going to look like in 5-10 years, the budget. But we as a group always try to move fast, uh, and make it happen. And then if we learn from that, right? We're not like going to be it's not always going to be a perfect launch, but we're always iterating and developing and also learning from what we did. That is the beauty of the group. As entrepreneurship is what it is, right? That's what Soulmate is also. So that's how I guess the Chalhoub board of presidents and the whole team are excited to launch Soulmates, and it did happen this May, right?
Let's dig a bit deeper into Soulmate. So you launched in May with your digital NFT collection. You're dropping your physical shoes in September, is that correct?
Yes, indeed, in September.
Yeah, and how did you guys decide on crafting that experience then? Why did you decide physical and digital? And that is the best way to move forward to compete against, of course, the traditional fashion brands?
I think initially what Soulmates is about was, as I said before, was to empower sneaker designers, right? We have these sneaker designers, and we have currently a sneaker designer that's, super creative and very innovative. His name is Latamen Kasimi, right? We could just create, a sneaker brand with him. That's it. We create a design, we manufacture, and then we sell it in all our retail store, for example. But no, that's not what Soulmate is about, right? Soulmate is about this three-way relationship with the brands, with the community, and with the sneaker designer, right? So that is hence that's why we launched the NFT collection, which is a membership pass to access this Soulmates ecosystem, so they can be involved, creating this new sneaker brand of the future, right? If you are part of like the Soulmates ecosystem, you can vote for a new sneaker designer, right? You can vote for a new colorway, or you can even vote for a new silhouette, right? And as part of an NFT holder, you are the OG. You are the ones who actually created these sneakers with the proof that you are part of this membership of Soulmates, right? And we just closed recently the mint, the NFT collection for sale. So now we're focusing all on the sneakers, right? We have a fantastic community within our Discord, within our within our networks. And now we are all focusing on the physical shoes. And why physical shoes as well as NFT? I think the use case of NFT, right? As I said, it's a membership to access actually these physical sneakers, right? These NFT holders, gets the party access to all our Soulmate sneakers in the future, and the one that is coming up in September, before the public, because we are also, allowing the public to buy it, to order it actually, because we are a Web2 company at the end of the day, right? So we already have partners, but as an NFT holder, you get a discount for all the Soulmate sneakers, even for the sneakers that's coming up in September, priority delivery before the public. So you get that 1 month earlier compared to the ones who bought it in public. Also, you have free shipping globally. So Chalhoub is moving goods, luxury goods all around the world. So we are experts in that, and we do it quickly, right? So NFT holders gets that free shipping worldwide, as an NFT holder. The beauty of why NFT connected to that physical, accessing that physical shoe is, this token gated experience, right? That's why we launched the NFT collection. It's that token gating, that experience to be part of the ecosystem.
And it seems to be working for you so far. I have also been following your launch across your various channels, including the WhatsApp group, which always seems to be a flurry of conversation happening. I have been creeping around. Since your launch in May, you have had 2,213 NFTs sold or minted, which is great. And it seems to be that your community is early adopters. How did you bring this community together, and how has it impacted your journey so far with crafting the brand out?
We are super, super happy with the result. Of course, in any project, you want to have more and more, right? But the group is happy with how much have we, how many people have minted the NFTs. How we started, with the community was, Nick reached out to his network. Nick is the head of corporate innovation. There's a new project about sneakers, right? We have a lot of industry players who wanted to know more. So we had our first meeting, a Teams meeting, with these people, and nobody knew what it was, right? And until today, they became our ambassadors, right? They were speaking about it. We had a meetup, with them, in real life, in Dubai, in Paris, in New York, and then eventually, with that small network, we get to unlock, their community members, their friends as well, to know about Soulmates. Eventually, we got, a nice introduction to the CEO of Sneakerheads NFT collection. They're one of the they are the largest, NFT community, let's say, in the Sneakerheads. The Sneakerheads community. He became our lead of advisors, right? And we're super grateful with his advices. And we got into that community, and a lot of that community, knew about Soulmates, and they came into Soulmates ecosystem. We see the same people in Sneakerheads. We see the same people in Soulmates community. So then we got in touch with all, the players who are doing the same thing, like Colton Rain, End State, and all of that. And we have that same community. We are that small group of, brands that are working the same thing, and we're working towards now the future of sneakers, right? And then that community knew each other, and when we see them, in person, like, oh, you guys are Soulmates, you guys are Cotton Rain. So that community is small, very niche, but we are not just focusing on the Web3 side of things, right? We are also focusing on the Web2 side of things. So We have our loyalty program. We push a lot of our communication with our loyalty program to people who doesn't know about NFTs. We tell them like, this is like a membership, right? Be part of this community by buying this membership, and we see a lot of engagement there. We even partner with like a concept, a sneaker store, and they push it from their side. They were so interested to what is this membership? How can I get the sneakers? Blah blah blah. So yeah, I mean, from just a small meeting with ambassadors early days in actually in March, became this crazy set of people that minted 2,000 of them, becoming part of the Soulmates ecosystem. Right, um, that was like a tire in the one of the hardest, let's say, right, one of the hardest journeys from March till May. I don't know if you tuned in to one of our Twitter Space marathon. That was like a 24-hour one, so I was awake for 30 hours that day, having
Yeah, I saw that, Rijal. Dedication is all I can say.
yeah, having 24 guests continuously. We had Michael Chalhoub, who's the president of SGII, and also one of the family members of Chalhoub. We had the CEO of OTB. We had Megan Castro from Red DAO. We have Jeff Staple also tuned in, and a lot more. Right, it was super exciting. We had a lot of our community engaging in Discord. We did a giveaway as well there. It was one of the hardest, but it was so fun. Right? Maybe I wouldn't have done it again for 24 hours. Maybe less hours.
How did you survive, Rijal? Like, besides coffee, how did you keep awake for that amount of time?
I'll tell you, I had 4 Red Bulls, and I was like, I couldn't. My heart was like, that's it. I can't I can't
Yeah.
drink more caffeine. But
And I imagine you had like a marathon sleep afterwards.
oh, that was the best hibernation I had that weekend.
Yeah. So we've had the 24-hour marathon Twitter Space live, all of your guest speakers, which is great. You've sold NFTs, which is great. You have your drop in September, but what's next? What's the vision, Vijay? This time next year, how do you see Soulmates growing?
Yeah, as a brand, we always have our roadmap prepared, right? Plan A, Plan B, Plan C as well. But this time next year, I hope we can see new sneaker designers coming into the Soulmates ecosystem. We'll have Sirocco one, and the second one with a different variation, or a collab with a different artist for that same sneaker. There's a lot that we have in mind. Like, maybe like we're gonna have like a sneaker incubator. I don't know, for sneaker designers, more into the educational part of it, so we can nurture these sneaker designers to become one of the best designers out there, leveraging obviously our resources, our talent, our community, and as well um, you know our expertise, right? So this time next year, we want to see Soulmates as a global brand that everyone knows, that is super crazy, right? In terms of design, a very innovative design. And I want people or kids looking at someone wearing a Sirocco saying, oh, that is a Soulmate sneaker. But yes, of course, first we're going to focus on our September launch with Sirocco 1, designed by Latamen Kasimi. It will be NFC chipped, so there will be a chip within that sneaker that will be a digital twin, also a certificate of authentication, also traceability, so we can know who are the owners or the next owner if they were to give it or resell them, right? But yeah, we also have 5 years plan Peter, but I can't say too much.
Yeah, I don't think we need to be on a 5-year plan for now. But I guess for you personally, Rijal, like, is the plan to fully spin out of Chalhoub Group and you yourself and Nick being like founders and that's your sole focus? Is that the plan?
I don't think I have an answer to that yet,
Okay.
but it is a brand by Chalhoub, right?
Mhm.
And we like it that way. And it's we are we may be like the founders, but at the end of the day, we are super grateful for the backings of Chalhoub Group, and we want it to be Chalhoub's own sneaker brand of the future, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just going to end this episode with a quick fire round of questions, which I'll say the first answer that comes to your head, super quick, what you're thinking. So last pair of shoes that you purchased?
The New Balance is 550. White.
Okay. Any artist dead or alive you'd like to do a shoe collab with?
I would say Virgil Abloh.
Great choice. One
Yeah.
celeb you like to see your shoes on?
I would say Lewis Hamilton.
Okay.
Super cool.
NFTs, collect them and keep them or trade them?
Collect.
Yeah. And one tip you give to anybody starting up their own phygital brand?
I think they should first understand their capabilities and resources. Also to think whether you have to go digital first, then physical, or physical first, then digital, because there's two differences, right? In our side, it's physical first, because the NFT is just a membership pass, but the digital twin is then scanned from the physical sneakers. But yeah, I think if someone wants to start a phygital project, they just need to make sure they know whether they want to go digital or physical first, or the opposite. And it changes everything, right? All the user experiences, the finances, also the things that we need to make sure we get the right people or the right team to make it happen.
Great advice. So how do our listeners come in contact with Soulmates?
You can visit us at Sol3mates, Sol with a 3, so Sol3mates, mates.xyz. You can check us out. We have been updating, and we're almost there to launch the Sirocco, our first sneaker collection. So stay tuned. You can join our newsletter from that website as well to keep up to date. And check us out on OpenSea as well if you want to be part of the Soulmates ecosystem by buying the NFT in the secondary. So because you cannot get it now from our primary sales.
Thank you for joining me today, Rijal.
Fantastic. I mean, I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Peter, for inviting me.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to click follow to keep up to date with the latest episodes. And if you like this episode, please give us a review. If you want us to feature a specific theme or guest, please give us a message at beyondform.io. I will see you very soon.